Hey, welcome to the CrossFit 310 QuickPod. My name is Coach Kris Germain, and this is Coach Jen McMahon here at the offices of CrossFit 310.
True story.
That is absolutely true. So far, so good. No lies.
I was just about to say that.
No lies in this episode. I tell tons of them throughout, so good luck trying to figure out. Just joking. Okay. We are here to have a great conversation today. And Jen McMahon, would you like to introduce our topic? This is one of Jen's brainchild. I'm saying that wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is a Jen brainchild.
I had an idea, is what he's trying to say.
Did. And I was like, that is a great idea because we like to talk about this a lot. And what is it?
I like to talk about the importance of starting where you are.
Great.
Sounds obvious, but it's not easy to do necessarily.
Yep, and we will get into the complications of that, because, of course, when you say that, people are like, yes, of course. But we will talk about, well, where do we run into problems like that? And in what ways can you see, oh, of course, that's exactly what you should be doing, but why do we have a tendency to push against that? And we will use gym scenario to shed some light on this, which some people will be like, oh, I get that. We will use run fit scenarios. Both of us have kids, so we can branch out that way. And so we will extrapolate on this idea because it is not an idea that should be limited to physical training, right?
Right. Not necessarily.
Perfect. Well, why don't you kind of build out what we're talking about today? When you say start where you are, what do you mean by that?
Well, I think I was able to find an example in myself actually recently like yesterday. I'm training for a race coming up in December, and I have this tendency to feel like I should be further along or better than I am. And I'm just not there. So I have to just be where I am now. And it's hard to do because there's comparisons and there's shoulds. You feel that you just kind of get judgy on yourself. And you have to remember, like, I want to be able to run all the miles that I need to run in December or swim all the miles I need to swim. But I can only do what I can do now. So it's kind of this acceptance of, like, what is that? And you're only going to really move forward if you can just start where you are. So it's just like, okay, this is where I am, and kind of coming to terms with that and then using that to build.
That's right. I would say inside of that conversation that the goal is to move forward, right? Like,
sure.
Another conversation that we should actually have, or that we could fill out a QuickPod, is there is no staying still. If you are not moving forward, you are moving backwards. It isn't like there's a moment that you float, that you throw a ball in the air, and it floats for 1 second, a millisecond, right? But I mean, it appears to, but it is actually on its way back down, right? And that is how all things are inside of progression, life. So we are trying to continue to move forward. And the burden of moving forward, that's what I want to talk about inside of this. The burden of moving forward is so hard if you lead with, I should be there right now. I cannot do the thing that I could do last year at this time, or even a few months ago, or whatever. So a lot of what we are talking about is lifting the burden so that you can actually just move quicker through this. Because starting, this is Jen McMahon's personal stationery that says, just get started, which I think I probably teased you about when I saw it. And now I ask for it all the time. I like circle it and highlight it, and we put it up here. So it's great.
True.
Just get started, right? Like, just get started and move along is part of your philosophy, our philosophy. And it's harder to get where you want to go if you weigh yourself down with, I should be here, I should be doing this amount of mileage, I should be doing this much weight. Even I should be this flexible, you know, if you have people who are dealing with range of motion stuff. So you start with where you are. And
yeah, because how many times has someone walked into the gym and they just, or maybe haven't walked into the gym because they feel like they're not where they should be in order to even start.
Yes.
So it so many times holds us back from even starting something because we're not where we were, or we're not where we should be, or whatever other judgy word you can come up with.
Yeah. And me and you have programs that coexist so well together under the like banner of CrossFit 310. We do lots of things here: nutrition, running, private training, but we have CrossFit classes and we have Run Fit inside of there. And both of those things run into a lot. We have seen it and heard a lot. CrossFit in general, people are just like, that stuff is crazy, because they've seen videos somewhere, or they've seen the CrossFit games. And they're like, well, I would need to train for months to go into or to start CrossFit. But we know that our whole place is designed specifically, CrossFit 310, like we want to be the place where people come and they've got issues. They don't have it all right. They may have been intimidated before, or maybe even overlooked at another place before.
Yeah.
And we want them to come here. And we've experienced that with Run Fit too. People.
Yep. It's like the reminder to have the beginner's mindset. It's okay to learn, right? And not be the expert coming into something. And I say that to people like, I got to check my ego at the door, or whatever that is, because you're saying, I'm open to learning something new. I'm open to not knowing everything that I need to know to do this thing. So yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
It's crazy. People don't want to start running because they feel like, oh, I can't run a mile. Oh, well, let's come and get started with where you are. And it's okay to walk. I think that's the thing. It's like, it's a Run Fit, it's a running camp, but it doesn't mean you can't walk if you get tired, you know? So people think they have to be perfect.
And it weighs, we tell people that all the time, because, you know, we're not running miles at a time inside of our CrossFit workouts, but we run a lot inside of our gym because it's a basic human movement pattern that, as long as you got it, we're going to try to keep it. Something me and Beth Dreyer talk about all the time, the use it or lose it principle, right? Like, don't lose it. It's so valuable to have all these things that you can do, that your body can do. And so I remember my mom asked me once, she was CrossFitting in Colorado. And, you know, she's 70. And she's like, do I have to run? And what she meant was, she doesn't like to run. Could she just choose rowing instead? And I said, you have to run. But it's the use it or lose it principle.
Totally.
She is physically gifted to be able to run. Now, she's not going to do an ultramarathon, but she can run. She can run in her 70s.
Yeah.
That's amazing. She can do burpees. Amazing. She can do all of this stuff. And as long as we apply running to her appropriately, like the physical act of running, like your bones harden, your tissues harden in a way that they don't on the rower. Yes, her heart is cardiovascularly challenged.
Yep.
But the body itself feels something and adapts in a certain way because of the movement of running. So as long as we can, and some people have lost it, and that's okay because of injury and stuff, that's okay. Like, but if you have it still, we keep it still. So all the way back to, what you had said was it's okay to walk.
Yeah.
And, you know, we do 200 meters inside of workouts where you do 3 rounds and you would have 200 meters or 400 meters or something like that. And people shackle themselves with the burden. Well, I see everybody else running, and so I can't walk, or I can't. Yeah. But we want you to, it's okay. Like, we're going to do another workout on next Tuesday. We're going to do another workout, you know, and you just build yourself up. And
and I think particularly with running, people have this tendency to think, because it's something we could all do from a very young age, that we should be able to do some amount of it. I don't know why that is, but just because you're not in the place where you can run a mile doesn't mean you can't get started where you are with it.
Yes.
And I've told you this before too, that like sometimes it's the mental thing that stops you. Like the first mile is the hardest anyway. So it's like, why give yourself this false like starting point, and just, do what you can while you can. And then we use that to build from.
Absolutely. I was listening to some Brené Brown.
Of course.
Right.
She's a genius.
Yes. Well, she speaks this language. She speaks our language. I love that what she was wanting is she I don't know if she coined this or who did, but she was talking about healthy striving.
I like that.
Right?
That's a good term.
So, yeah.
Healthy striving.
So, it's an ambition to be moving forward, right? We want to be, I'm going to laugh if I'm not getting Brené Brown right inside of that. But the idea is, I've been listening to multiple podcasts. So anyway, I'll correct this in the notes if it's not her. But the idea is that we want to be moving forward, but we're not punishing ourselves for where we're at.
Yes, for sure.
Currently, especially because life has ups and downs. If you are not planning for the undulation of life, right? It goes up and down, and sometimes it's glassy and smooth like the waves out there, but sometimes it's tumultuous. And if you are not planning to enter in and out of tumultuous, busy, stressful times that impact your physical self as well as who you are as a human at home and at work, if you're not having perspective on that, it's going to be awful. But if we're always saying, well, this is where I am, but I'm trying to strive forward in a healthy way because we're trying to move forward.
Yep.
And we're trying not to use it. We're trying not to lose it by not using it. And we know that we'll move backwards. So it's a healthy way of striving forward. And that is where I want to spider out now. So like we can see it in our training. That makes sense. Where else can we talk about that?
I was just thinking it totally applies to nutrition.
Mm-hmm. Great.
I mean, you're sitting here thinking to yourself, man, last year I was just so great with my eating. And then I went away on a vacation and I came back and, I haven't been able to get my act together since. And you think, I should be able to do this. I've done it before. But this taking the judgment out of it and saying, well, you know what? It's okay. Like, it's Tuesday or whatever day it is, and I have the next meal coming up, and I can always try to make a healthy choice each time it comes. I don't have to be perfect. There's really no such thing as perfect anyway. So I kind of tell people, well, what can we do next? What's the next step we can take so that we can continue progressing and getting where we want to be rather than beating ourselves up for what we did yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this is actually something that I'm writing in a little bit of an article about progressing forward. One of the best things that you can do, a healthy way of striving, is to put yourself next to other people who are already moving in the direction you want to go. And this is things we see like with mentorship. Like I have a business mentor. That's what we do inside of here. We for sure, this is a gym, but we as coaches, we feel like mentors, right? Like we are talking through things and bringing people along with a crowd that's already going somewhere. You do that with your nutrition for sure. Like that is what you are. You're a health coach.
There's a fine line with that though, right? The comparison is like, okay, you want to put yourself with people going where you're going and maybe speaking the language you speak and people who motivate you. But then there's also the person who maybe feels out of your reach and you compare yourself to in a negative way. And you think, oh gosh, if I can't do what they can do, then why bother?
So what I put in the article that I'm writing is you need to find the place that's good at it.
Yeah.
So there's the difference. You don't just go to it's probably not healthy to find like, oh, that's somebody on Instagram. I want to look like that person.
For sure.
So I'm going to do everything that person does. What I articulate in the thing that I'm writing is you want to find a place that's good at bringing you along.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like it's intentional.
Welcoming.
And that's right. And they're preaching start where you are. Like that's I would probably say that. That's how you're going to know whether or not they're good or not. Do they look at you and say, you come alongside of us, but you start exactly where you are?
Yep.
And then the second designation, if they can say that, are they good at helping you do that?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
For
Like
sure.
those are two qualifications for somebody who's like, man, I need to attach myself to something. And most of us do. I would say that most of us need, I don't know, dare I say all of us need in some way, shape, or form, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a businessman, whether you're a mom. Like my wife is part of a group of moms who help young moms.
Oh, right. That's a really good example. That's a
You
really
know,
good example. Oh
and-
my gosh. There's no more areas where there's shaming of how people do things and all that
totally.
than being a new parent, right?
Give some life to that. Say that. Like in what ways, so that somebody hearing this would be like, I have felt that.
Oh, well, I mean, it starts like us when you're pregnant. Is you're doing this thing that a lot of people have already been through, and you are overwhelmed. It's just overwhelming. I remember actually walking into Babies R Us when I was pregnant to go register, and I turned around and I walked right out. I was like, this is too much. It's just a lot. And I didn't know anything. I didn't know. I mean, I'd like maybe held a couple babies ever.
Yep.
And so I was like, I just left. I was like, yep, nope, not doing that. But I think I had to give myself permission to just like not know.
Yeah.
And maybe go to the people who could tell me.
Yep.
Because it just didn't know anything. And that is a great example. So there could be the people that are like, oh, you're doing it wrong. Or there could be the people that are like, well, here, actually, we have diapers we didn't use. Here, take these. And now before you know it, you start building up your repertoire and your stuff.
So good. It impacted my wife so much. Like as I'm looking at all our stuff, because we're all busy, and I'm like, we can't be part of every group, and so I'm like, hey, we should look at some things. Maybe we don't do this in this season. And she was like, you are not taking these moms away from me, because it was so impactful for her. So now she's like a table leader, and she's an older mom that has older kids talking to younger, overwhelmed moms inside of it. And they are good at saying, you just get to this table. You need to be encouraged.
It's okay.
It's okay, which is what I want to do with that room, right? We've got a small room in there, and all I'm like is, you just get to this room.
Yeah.
You don't have to be anything. You don't have to do anything. We want to encourage you, and I'm going to help you deal with the day. Whatever the workout says, I'm going to help you deal with this day. You just get here.
Absolutely.
Right? And that is how I hear you speak with nutrition, and that is how I hear you speak with Run Fit, which I love.
Well, speaking of parenting, though, when, like that's another thing, how we talk to our kids, right?
Yes.
Like how often are they coming to you feeling like they need to be the best at whatever it is that they're working on? And I have these same conversations with them that I do with my runners.
Constantly.
It's like starting where you are and being okay with it. And it's okay to be where you are.
Yep. So hard when maybe one of the siblings can do it really well.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Yeah. Especially if the younger one does it better than the older one.
Yeah.
Not that that's ever happened in my house. But I know it's tough. Actually, when my oldest was younger, there was a time where she really wanted, or maybe I wanted. I was like, what do you think about trying gymnastics, And she's like, well, why? I can't go to gymnastics. I don't know how to do a cartwheel.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, but that's why you go, is to learn that. And she wouldn't.
Yeah, the whole room is built to teach you how to do a cartwheel.
The whole thing. And it was like, well, no, it felt like a threshold. Like she had to learn a cartwheel in order to go to gymnastics. And that was a tough lesson.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, that's the thing you go do.
Yeah.
That's how you learn it.
With the kids, the start where you're at conversation, it's just not possible to land when you say it once. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
it has to be shown too, like you have to live it.
That's it.
And be a role model. Yeah.
It's got to be said 1,000 times, and it must be witnessed.
Absolutely.
Parents
can fail.
Years. Oh gosh. Oh yeah.
I mean, please tell me parents can fail, because I do it all the time.
It's like the mark of my life.
Me too. But then the fact that you get up and you start
right.
where you are,
Yep.
they're seeing it.
I can tell you that I lead inside of my home many times with, Dad did not get it right. I am so sorry. And so that opens up the potential for depth of conversation and that language for them too. Jim McMahon, this is a great conversation.
It was fun.
Yeah, it's good. Start where you're at. Preach it. Get around other people who are preaching it. Live it. And be able to recognize when you are not, be able to look at, pull back, and be like, relieve yourself of the burden. What else?
Yeah, see if you can, if there's something you want to do, see if you can give yourself permission to just go do it at your own level.
Yeah.
Start there.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. Good
Thank
talk.
you. Yes, for sure.
This is the 310 QuickPod. If you're listening on a regular basis, give us a like, and thank you so much. Tell your friends, and let us know if you want to talk about anything. See you.
Bye.
Did it? I never know. If it's done, I should.
It's done.
Okay.